He was 67 years old, retired teacher, no major health complaints. His wife said he seemed completely fine when he went to bed. He kissed her goodnight. He said he'd see her in the morning. He never woke up, not even once. And here's the part that still haunts me. When the autopsy came back, there was no mystery. His heart gave out between 2 and 4 in the morning, a massive coronary event during sleep. And when I looked at his history, I already knew what had happened, because I had seen it dozens of times before. The trigger was not a blockage that appeared overnight. It was not bad luck. It was something he had been doing every single evening, without a second thought. Something millions of people over 60 do tonight, right now, without any idea what it is quietly doing to their heart while they sleep. But here's what I need you to understand before we go any further. It was not one thing that killed him, it was 7 things. 7 ordinary evening habits, things that feel completely normal, even healthy, that combined, night after night, into a cardiovascular catastrophe nobody saw coming. And the reason I am recording this video today is because every single one of those 7 habits is preventable. Everyone has a simple fix, and most people watching this have never once been told about them. In the next 27 minutes, I am going to go through all 7, one by one. I am going to show you exactly what each one does inside your body after 60. I will show you the science behind it. I will tell you the patient stories. And I will give you a specific step-by-step evening routine that addresses every single one of them. By the end of this video, you will know more about protecting your heart at night than most people learn in a lifetime. Stay with me, especially for habit 3. It is the one that surprises my patients the most, because it is something most doctors would never think to ask you about. My name is Dr. James. I have spent over 2 decades in interventional cardiology. I have threaded catheters into blocked coronary arteries. I have restarted hearts. And I have sat with families at 5 in the morning to deliver the news that nobody should ever have to receive. The most painful part of this job is not the emergencies. It is knowing that it could have been prevented. Not with surgery, not with expensive medication, with information. Simple, specific information that nobody bothered to give in time. Tonight, I am going to give it to you, because you still have time. First, let's look at the biology. Before we get into the habits, I need you to understand what happens inside your body after 60 at night. Once you understand this, everything else will make sense. Your cardiovascular system runs on rhythms. Daytime rhythms, nighttime rhythms, hormonal cycles that shift every few hours. During the day, your body runs full crew operations, multiple backup systems and layers of compensation. At night, that changes dramatically. Between midnight and 5 in the morning, your heart rate is supposed to drop. Your blood pressure is supposed to fall by 10 to 20%. Your body runs a cardiovascular maintenance cycle, repairing vessel walls, clearing inflammation, stabilizing plaque. It is one of the most important processes your body performs, and it only happens while you sleep. But here is what nobody tells you. After 60, this system becomes less reliable. The signals that used to trigger that nighttime drop become weaker. The arteries that used to relax become stiffer. The hormonal cues that once protected you while you slept start to fade. What does that mean practically? It means that whatever habits you run in those final hours before sleep, they get amplified. Stresses that your 40-year-old body would have absorbed without consequence become, after 60, genuine cardiac events waiting to happen. According to the American Heart Association, nearly half of all fatal cardiovascular events in older adults occur between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. That is not a coincidence. Your evening habits are either protecting you or loading a gun. And most people have no idea which one they are doing. That is what we are changing tonight. 7 habits. Let us begin. Type your name and where you're watching from in the comments. I read every single one of them. Habit number 1, the pain reliever you take before bed. I want to start with the one nobody expects. The one I almost left off this list because it sounds too ordinary to be dangerous. Let me ask you something, and I want you to be honest with yourself. Do you take ibuprofen or naproxen before bed? Maybe for a bad knee, a sore lower back, or arthritis? What is the problem? It is what that pill is doing to your cardiovascular system overnight when your heart is most vulnerable. NSAIDs like ibuprofen and naproxen cause your body to retain fluid, raising blood pressure exactly when your arteries are supposed to be resting. Studies show regular use raises blood pressure by 5 millimeters. In someone over 60, that is the difference between manageable stress and a vessel wall cracking open. Even more worrying, these drugs blunt signals that prevent clots. During sleep, slower blood flow becomes much more prone to clotting. This is a serious risk for vessels already narrowed by decades of arterial disease. I had a patient, 72-year-old man, took ibuprofen every night for his knees. Good man, careful about his diet, didn't smoke. One morning, his wife could not wake him. He had suffered a massive cardiac event between 2 and 4 a.m. His blood pressure had spiked in the night. A vulnerable plaque in his left anterior descending artery had ruptured. Nobody had ever connected his nightly ibuprofen to his heart. Nobody had ever told him to. What should you do? Talk to your doctor about alternatives. Topical anti-inflammatory creams applied directly to the skin give you local relief with far less systemic absorption. Acetaminophen, at the correct dose, handles pain without the blood pressure and clotting effects. Heat therapy and targeted stretching have surprisingly strong evidence for joint pain management at night. None of these will solve every situation, but any of them is meaningfully safer for your sleeping heart than a nightly NSAID habit. If you recognized yourself in what I just described, write it down tonight and raise it at your next appointment. That single conversation could be more important than you realize. Habit 2. Late and heavy dinners. What time did you eat dinner last night? And what was on the plate? For a surprising number of people over 60, the answer is around 8 or 9 at night, a full meal followed by bed. From a cardiac standpoint, this is one of the most underestimated stresses your heart faces. When you eat a large meal, your digestive system demands a surge in blood flow. Your heart pumps harder. Blood pressure rises, and fats in your blood spike sharply right when your body expects to wind down. Your body expects recovery, not an all-hands cardiovascular emergency. Those two demands are in direct conflict. Your heart is working overtime while trying to rest. For your heart's sake, keep your dinners light and early. A major study followed over 100,000 adults and found a hidden danger in our daily routines: late dinners. People who regularly ate late had a significantly higher risk of nighttime heart attacks compared to those who ate earlier. The reason? A full stomach increases acid reflux, which can stimulate the vagus nerve running alongside your esophagus. This stimulation can trigger dangerous heart rhythm disturbances, putting constant stress on your heart while you sleep. The fix is simple. Finish your main meal by 6 or 7 p.m. If you're hungry later, keep it very light. Stick to protein and vegetables. Avoid heavy fats and large portions before bed to protect your heart. Small changes in your dinner schedule can make a massive difference. Your heart will thank you for it. Habit 3. The evening drink. This is the one I told you to wait for. I want to be careful, because what I'm about to tell you goes against what millions believe is good for them. Patients often tell me, I have 1 glass of wine before bed to relax. It's good for the heart. I understand where this comes from. For decades, we were told moderate alcohol was protective. Red wine, resveratrol, antioxidants. It became conventional wisdom. But I need to dismantle this, because the truth looks very different after 60. Here is what actually happens to your cardiovascular system in the evening. The first effect is relaxation and a slight drop in blood pressure. It seems harmless, seems good even, but there's more to the story. But alcohol is metabolized by your liver over several hours, and as that process completes somewhere around 2 or 3 in the morning while you are deeply asleep, the effect reverses. Blood pressure rebounds, heart rate becomes irregular, and your nervous system, which was briefly suppressed, snaps back with heightened activity. Here is the part that should genuinely alarm you. Alcohol is one of the most potent triggers of atrial fibrillation, AFib, known to cardiology. AFib is where the heart's upper chambers beat chaotically, out of sync with the lower chambers. AFib during sleep is particularly dangerous because the person has no warning, no symptoms they can feel. The heart is just quietly misfiring while they sleep. Let us pause for a quick checkpoint because we are halfway through the list. So far we have covered 3 habits that most people have never connected to their heart. The pain reliever you take for your knees, the late heavy dinner, the evening glass of wine. Any one of these alone raises your nighttime cardiac risk. All 3 together on top of an aging cardiovascular system create exactly the kind of perfect storm that sends people to my operating table. 4 more habits to go, and the next one is the one that most doctors fail to explain properly, even to patients who are already taking medication for their heart. The conditions for clot formation are almost textbook. I am not here to make anyone miserable. 1 glass at a dinner 3 times a year is not what I am describing. What I am describing is the nightly evening drink framed as a healthy habit that is doing something to your sleeping heart that you cannot feel, but that I see in my cath lab with depressing regularity. If this is your habit, consider moving the drink to earlier in the evening, at least 3 hours before bed. Give your liver time to clear the metabolites before you lie down, or replace the ritual entirely with something that gives you the same unwinding signal without the cardiovascular cost. Which of these 3 habits have you been doing? Be honest in the comments, you are not alone. If you take medication for blood pressure, cholesterol, or blood thinning, this part is critical. Please do not skip it. Blood pressure follows a natural daily rhythm. In healthy individuals, it drops during sleep. But in many adults over 60, this drop does not happen, or worse, pressure actually rises at night. This condition is called nocturnal hypertension, and most people have never heard of it. Here is the danger. While you sleep, the arterial walls are not braced for impact. A pressure surge at 3 in the morning hits vessel walls very differently than one at 3 in the afternoon. It is more likely to rupture a vulnerable plaque inside a coronary artery, more likely to trigger clot formation, more likely to send someone to my table. If you take your blood pressure medication only in the morning, it may wear off by the time you need it most. If you forget it entirely, you may be leaving yourself completely unprotected during the most vulnerable hours of the night. Large studies published in The Lancet have shown that properly timed medication can reduce nighttime heart attack and stroke risk by nearly half. That is not a minor adjustment. It is a potentially life-saving conversation to have with your doctor. I have treated patients who suffered massive strokes because they missed just a few doses. They never thought timing would matter. Ask your doctor if your medication should be taken at night. That 2-minute talk could save your life. And never skip doses. Medication timing is not a minor detail. It is a matter of life and death. I want you to think about someone you know who snores. A spouse, a sibling, maybe yourself. That sound, that loud, irregular rumbling in the night. Most people treat it as an annoyance, something to elbow your partner over. After 20 years in this field, I treat it as a cardiac warning sign until proven otherwise. Sleep apnea is one of the most underdiagnosed and underestimated conditions I encounter in patients over 60. It is estimated that over 30% of older adults have some form of it. The vast majority have never been diagnosed or treated. They have absolutely no idea what it is doing to their heart every single night. Here is what actually happens during an apnea episode. You stop breathing for 10 seconds, 40 seconds, sometimes longer. It may happen dozens of times per hour. Each time, the oxygen level in your blood drops sharply. Your brain registers a crisis and fires off a stress response, adrenaline, cortisol. A sudden spike in heart rate and blood pressure. Your heart jolts awake while the rest of you is still asleep. Night after night, year after year, large studies show that untreated sleep apnea triples the risk of nighttime heart attacks and quadruples the risk of strokes. One of my patients thought her snoring was just annoying. One night, her oxygen dropped so low that her heart rhythm became dangerously unstable. She survived because her husband woke up by chance. Treatment changed her life and almost certainly saved it. Warning signs: waking up with headaches, feeling exhausted, or waking with a feeling of choking. If these sound familiar, talk to your doctor. If you snore heavily and have any history of heart disease, this is not optional. It is part of your cardiac care. Full stop. One habit: enormous protection. Protect your heart. Talk to your doctor today. This next habit is driven by something completely logical, and that is exactly what makes it so easy to overlook. Many people over 60 deliberately limit how much they drink in the evening to avoid waking up at night. Disrupted sleep is uncomfortable, and getting up at night significantly increases fall risk. So they cut fluids after dinner. I understand the reasoning, but from a cardiovascular standpoint, it's a risk. Going to bed even mildly dehydrated is a meaningful risk factor. When you're dehydrated, your blood becomes thicker. It does not flow as freely through your vessels. Think of it like water versus honey moving through a tube. For a young system, that's manageable, but for a person over 60, it is a very different story. With arterial stiffness and plaque buildup, going to bed hydrated is critical for your heart health. Thick blood moves slowly through narrowed arteries and is more prone to forming clots. During sleep, your heart rate naturally slows, moving blood even more slowly through the system. Combining slow circulation with dehydration in a body that's been still for 8 hours is dangerous. This is why strokes and heart attacks often cluster in the early morning hours. Research shows that even moderate dehydration raises nighttime cardiovascular risk by over 60%. The fix is simple. Drink a full glass of water 1 to 2 hours before bedtime. Protect your heart with just 1 glass of water. Sleep well and stay healthy. 2 final habits. I am combining them because together, they control your cardiovascular environment for the entire night. First, what you watch before bed. Tell me something. What did you watch last night before turning off the light? The news? A crime documentary? A tense drama? A political debate you stumbled into on social media? Here is the physiology that most people do not know. Your body cannot distinguish between a real physical threat and an emotional one. When you watch something frightening, enraging, or deeply distressing, your brain activates the exact same stress response as if you were in physical danger. Cortisol surges, adrenaline spikes, heart rate elevates, blood vessels constrict. If stress happens at noon, your body clears those stress hormones quickly. But a cortisol spike at 10:30 p.m., right before bed, hijacks your nervous system. The cortisol lingers, your blood pressure stays elevated, and your heart fails its recovery rhythm. Do you wake up between 1 and 3 a.m. with a racing heart or anxiety? That is the cortisol echo returning during the natural trough of deep sleep. The solution is simple. Protect the final 90 minutes before bed from screens. Replace them with calm activities like slow reading, quiet music, or a gentle walk. Your brain needs a runway to land. If you deny it that runway, your heart pays the cost all night. What temperature is your bedroom? Most people never think about this in terms of heart health. Above 22 degrees Celsius or 72 degrees Fahrenheit, your body struggles to release heat. Blood vessels dilate and heart rate stays elevated. Research shows this increases cardiovascular risk and drops sleep quality, preventing essential heart recovery. Conversely, a room below 17 degrees Celsius causes blood vessels to tighten and blood pressure to rise. For those with existing heart conditions, this extra resistance is dangerous. The optimal range is 18 to 22 degrees Celsius or 65 to 72 degrees Fahrenheit. Keep your vessels relaxed and sleep deep. 1 thermostat setting, real heart protection. One more thing, I almost did not include this one because it sounds almost absurdly minor, and then I remember a specific patient, a 71-year-old man who had been having what he described as brief dizzy spells at night for months. He had been told it was probably an inner ear problem. He came to me after his 3rd episode. I found something the other doctors had missed. His blood pressure was dropping dangerously every time he stood up quickly, and spiking back up with equal violence every time he lay down fast. This is called orthostatic hypotension. After 60, the blood pressure regulation system that used to adjust in real time to positional changes starts to lag. When you stand up quickly, blood pools in the lower body for a few extra seconds. Pressure drops. In some cases, that brief oxygen drop to the heart can trigger arrhythmia. But the direction most people overlook is going the other way. Lying down quickly after being upright for hours can trigger a sudden blood pressure spike as the cardiovascular system overcompensates. In a person with vulnerable arterial plaque, that spike is not trivial. The fix costs you absolutely nothing. When you are ready for bed, sit on the edge of the mattress for 60 seconds before lying down. Let your circulation stabilize. When you wake during the night, do the same thing in reverse. Sit up slowly, pause. Stand carefully. Give your body 60 seconds to catch up. 60 seconds of patience, 2 or 3 times a night. One of the simplest cardiac protections available to anyone over 60, and almost nobody does it because nobody has ever told them to. Everything I have described tonight comes down to one practical evening routine. Here is exactly what it looks like. Between 6 o'clock and 7 p.m., have your main meal. Choose lean protein and vegetables, giving your heart a full 4 hours to settle before sleep. 8 o'clock to 9 p.m. is your wind-down window. Step away from emotionally charged content and choose reading or gentle walking instead. At 9 p.m., prepare your room. Set the temperature to 68 degrees, dim the lights, and keep water nearby. These simple steps take just 90 seconds, but for your heart health, they truly matter. Sleep well. 9:30 p.m., final preparations, bathroom visit, brush your teeth, take any final prescribed medications. 10 p.m., getting into bed. Sit on the edge of the mattress for 60 seconds first. Let your circulation stabilize, then lie down on your side if you can. Side sleeping keeps the airway clearer and reduces sleep apnea severity. During the night, if you wake up, sit up slowly, pause, stand carefully. Take a small sip of water if needed, then return to bed the same way. Sit on the edge first, then lie down. That is the entire routine. No prescription required. No equipment, no expense, just the awareness you now have and the consistency to use it. In my 23 years, I've seen how these simple habits save lives. These are ordinary things for extraordinary health. Taking the pain pill that worked, having the glass of wine that helped them unwind, eating dinner when the family was finally all home, watching the news before bed like they had every night for 30 years. They had no idea that the combination of those habits layered on top of the natural vulnerabilities that come after 60 was building toward a catastrophic event while they slept. You now know what they did not, and that changes things. Not dramatically, not overnight, but it changes things in the most important way possible, because prevention does not happen in a hospital. It happens at 9:45 on a Tuesday night when you turn off the news, drink a glass of water, set the thermostat, and sit on the edge of your bed for 60 seconds before lying down. That is where lives are saved, in the ordinary moments that nobody is watching except your heart. 3. Move the evening drink to earlier. Your heart's electrical system isn't as forgiving as it was at 40. 4. Talk to your doctor about timing your blood pressure medication for the evening. This single conversation could be your most important medical discussion this year. 5. If you snore or wake up exhausted, get evaluated for sleep apnea. This is a vital part of your cardiac care. 6. Drink a glass of water before bed. Don't let your blood thicken overnight just to save a bathroom trip. 7. Protect your last 90 minutes before sleep from emotionally activating content. and keep your thermostat between 65 and 72 degrees. Bonus tip, sit on the edge of the bed for 60 seconds before lying down, every night. Which of these habits surprised you most? Tell me in the comments below. I read them all. Before you go, I ask 4 things. First, subscribe to this channel. Every week I share life-saving health information explained clearly for adults over 50. Information like this that nobody else is giving you. Second, like this video. It helps YouTube show this message to someone who may not know they are at risk tonight. Third, leave a comment. Write the habit that surprised you most. Write, I am changing this tonight. Your commitment motivates others. And fourth, share this with one person, a spouse, a sibling, or a friend over 60. What they do tonight, in the quiet moments, could determine whether or not they wake up tomorrow. Sleep should heal you, not harm you. Take control tonight. This is Dr. James, and I will see you in the next video.